Who is ready to learn how to pick up some extra listings? Okay. You know, a little bit of background on myself that some of you may not know, but when I was growing up, I was a very poor student in school, and I was back then you were just social promoted. You just had to show up. For those of you older people in here that are over 60, we remember social promotion. You just showed up for school and you got a high school diploma. That's what I did. I went to work at Tampa Electric as a janitor right out of high school. I turned 18 on November 30th. On December 31st, I was hired on at Tampa Electric at Gannon Power Plant as a janitor, sweeping floors, cleaning toilets, doing janitorial work. And that's what I believed that I was destined to do. I thought that was great. It was a union job. It had great benefits. And I had this self-belief that that's what I was worth. And a few years later, you know, about 9 years later, I met this lady, Juanita Dennis, passed away. She was my family's realtor when we were growing up in Lutz, and sold us our land that we built our house on when I was a child. And she talked me into getting my real estate license. And, you know, she was such a positive person. And she used to say, oh, you know, you're going to be a superstar. She was real Southern. She'd go, you're going to be a superstar. And I believed her. And it was the first time in my life somebody had told me that I could be something other than a janitor. I got my real estate license. I went to work for her. And one of the things that I learned from her is it's your self-belief in what you actually believe you can do. You can't depend on other people to look at you and think, oh, I'm going to do this. It is a commitment to yourself. And there's people that have ambition and they go, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But it's the action on the days when you don't feel like doing this stuff that's going to make you rich. I don't think this stuff works. I know that it works. If I shut down today and moved to Las Vegas, Nevada and started selling real estate, I guarantee you 30 days from now, I would have something either closed or almost ready to close, just doing what I'm about to show you right now, especially with this LPT stuff that we have going on right now, which has added just another dimension to our arsenal of tools that we have. So it's being present, it's being in front. If you're afraid to talk to people, you're going to have a problem being successful in real estate. So this is a very simple to follow system, but you have to do it. So right now, you have to ask yourself, where are you prospecting right now? Like literally, what are you doing to prospect for business? A lot of people are sitting around, they go, oh, I know a lot of people, and I'm posting stuff on social media, and I'm waiting for the phone to ring. And my people know that I'm a realtor, and they know that I sell real estate, so they're going to reach out to me, and they're going to call. And then that's when you see the neighbor across the street, and you see a RE/MAX sign go up in the front yard, and you go, what the hell? Like, you didn't know that I was like, you know, and then I hear it all the time, and the agents say, oh my God, they suck. They suck. My neighbor sucks. No, the neighbor doesn't suck. You suck because you didn't do your job. You didn't go out and really present yourself as the expert in the real estate field. And when they thought of real estate, did they think of you? No. Okay, so when I was new, there was no internet. There was no MLS online. There were no computers. There were typewriters in an office, and there was hustle. And that's what you did. If a listing expired, we didn't know that a listing expired because we had no MLS. So think about the disadvantage that you had back then. You had a book that came out once a month with the new listings in it. You had to do open houses, and people think, you think somebody just thought of an open house like this is a great idea. We did broker open houses back then because if you listed your home today and you missed the cutoff yesterday to be in the MLS book, I mean, what was it, Mary? Like 45 days to 60 days before you would even appear in MLS. So we would do the open houses in the afternoon with the directional signs because a buyer that was out looking with a realtor at properties that were in the book, they didn't know your house was for sale. And unless you were standing outside going, hey, this house is for sale, they didn't know it. there was a lot of hustle back then. So that's why it doesn't surprise me to see a lot of older agents still operating at a high level, because we're used to doing that. If anything, the technology has made it easier for us to prospect. The fruit is way hanging low. You don't have to get on a ladder anymore. You can just go right there and pick the fruit off the tree. It's right under our noses, but you have to know where to look for it. You will get out what you put into it. This system that I'm about to give you, it's all about follow-up. Before we started, I was telling everybody, and this is the same thing with recruiting, if it's with your listings, or if it's with buyers. There was a girl, Gina, that I went to high school with, that since we joined LPT, I've been messaging her about how great LPT is. Ignores me, ignores me, ignores me. Did I stop messaging her? Did I stop contacting her? Did I stop liking her stuff on social media? No. Am I contacting her every day down her throat? No. But about every 3 or 4 weeks, I just reach out to her. So probably 50 or 60 times I have reached out to her, text message her on Messenger. She's never responded. And I posted a thing yesterday with the 3 magazines that we have with LPT, the Buyer, the new Buyer magazine, the Marketing, and the 9 questions. And I posted the 3 pictures on my social media and said, hey, these are the 3 informationals you need to know if you're buying or selling real estate. This morning, she sends me a message. She goes, hey, Vince, she actually posted it on my Facebook, but I deleted it because I know every LPT agent outside of our downline that sees it up in that area would have pounced on her. So I deleted her message, but I have a screenshot of it if anybody wants to see it. And I'm sending her later today, where Ellie and I are going to send our books to her so that she can see. And I'm also going to have corporate send her a power pack, because I know when she gets that at her home, her mind's going to be blown. She's going to want more about LPT. We have people in that area in our downline, Jessica, that we could connect her with that are really close to her. So it's all about putting this, it's all well thought out, and not just waking up in the morning and going, what am I going to do today? So everything has a method to it. So the follow-up is where, as Ellie says, the fortune is in the follow-up. And it's no more than this, and what we're about to show about what you're going to get out of this is what you put into it. Homes to target. Where do I start? That's the biggest question I get with people, is they say, where do I start? Like, I don't even know where to start getting listings. I don't have any listings. A lot of agents are buyers, and I would say predominantly. How many people in this room would say that you're predominantly a listing agent? A listing agent. So I think a lot of agents are afraid of listings because you're carrying these listings sometimes, especially with higher interest rates. You're carrying these listings sometimes for months. And what do you do? How do I follow up with the people? How do I communicate with them? So it's a little bit of an intimidation to go really and start saying, I'm going to go into listings. But if you look at the people that are making 6 and 7 figures in real estate, they're predominantly listing agents, because listings, I don't care what marketing is out there, one thing has never changed. The number one source of buyer calls is still the sign in the front yard. So the more signs you have in the front yard, the more buyers you're going to have. And those buyers, those sellers that you list their home, many times wife's pregnant, they're getting a divorce, they need to sell that house and buy 2 houses. So by focusing on the listing, a lot of times, more than 70% of the time, you're double ending your deal. You're getting the listing, and then you're getting a sale, and they're finding another home. Whereas when you're just with that buyer and you got that lead randomly off of Zillow or even homevalue.com or on your own, you're typically taking that one buyer and you're selling them one house, and now you have to wait years for that tree to bear fruit. Whereas with listings, you never know what's going to happen, and a lot of times multiple deals are attached to that. So I think listings, you have to start to focus at least some of your attention to the listing aspect of selling real estate, because it's far more lucrative. And I know that I was in the Bahamas years and years ago, but I was in the Bahamas and I sold 4 houses while I was in Nassau that week. And you can't do that with a buyer. With a buyer, that buyer's got to be in the car and you're driving them around. With listings, you can be laid out on a beach somewhere and those houses are getting shown. And with the internet and phones and everything today, you're able to have a transaction coordinator. Those houses just sell while you're on vacation. So where to start? And one of the best places to start is in your own neighborhood. Why? Because one of the things for me is I look at what am I getting in the mail? I live in a particular neighborhood. Let's say you live in XYZ. And in XYZ, you see who's farming, how often they're farming, and what are they putting out. I know Larry lives in Cheval, and Scott Kennedy is a freaking monster in Cheval, and we farm that neighborhood, and I don't remember not pulling six figures out of Cheval. There's nothing wrong with silver. I'll be the number 2 guy. Larry, you can be the number 5 guy in there, you know. But the point is, that doesn't stop us from farming the neighborhood because somebody doesn't like that person. A lot of people don't like success, and their kid might have had a fight with their kid, or whatever the reason is, they don't like that person. And even you look at the numbers that he has, and if he has a 20% market share, he's dominating in that neighborhood. So if there's 100 sales in there that year and he sells 20, he's happy. That's about as good as it's going to get in any neighborhood. So starting in your neighborhood to just look and see what's happening is a good idea if you're going to do the farming. And I'm going to go into a couple of different aspects of this because I realize a lot of us are newer agents and we don't have the budget to farm at that level. And the whole point of this class was to show you how to get listings on a budget with just a stamp and you and your smiling face, and how to get listings without spending a lot of money so you could eventually start making enough money where you can implement a farm area and expand that a little bit farther. So when you're farming or when you're reaching one individual prospect or just one person, it doesn't matter. There is a step to it. It is, if you start sending mail to, and I mean you could be sending to a friend, a family member, and you're sending them real estate stuff to let them know that you're a realtor on a regular basis so that they don't list with that RE/MAX agent that I was talking about earlier, you're going to do it regular. So even casual friends of yours start to recognize that you're in real estate. As you continue, as time moves on, you become more familiar, a little bit more top of the line. You become one of the agents that's really marketing a neighborhood, and like Larry is one of the agents in Cheval. He's not the agent. If they knew you, they would know you are the agent, but he's one of the agents in Cheval. And then you start to repeatedly get business. After people recognize and they know who you are, there's a certain respectability that comes with your name in these areas, which is why I'm a big advocate of farming because all this stuff works whether you're farming or not. But if you are farming, imagine if you were farming a neighborhood of 1,000 houses and there was any type of an expired or somebody's behind on their taxes or that they're in foreclosure, and now you approach them, now they know who you are. There's a little bit more credibility than some random agent going, oh my God, this person is behind on their taxes, and they pounce on them. You have a little bit more credibility than that agent when you do that. So real estate growth doesn't happen by accident. There's people that are going to go to this class today. They're going to implement this stuff that I'm going to show you. And then they're going to say, wow, Vince, I'm getting all these. And I get it. People will go, I got a listing off of that. I got 2 listings off of that seminar. And then there's some people that are going to take all these notes, and you're not going to do anything. And a week from now, this is a foregone conclusion. You've forgotten everything. It's packed in a drawer somewhere, and you're at the next seminar, at the next training to try to learn something different. You know, if you never went to another training and just implemented some of this stuff and focused on that, it's going to bear fruit for you. So every agent, if you're sitting there thinking it's such an intimidating thing, every agent starts at 0. Every agent is trying to be this guy. And then right now we're just trying to get that one first listing. And it's such a daunting task to try to get that first listing because you really don't know what to say. You don't know. And of course, in another step, you know, practicing, and if you've been to any of my Vinny talks before, we talk about practicing and rehearsing and the spring training with the Major League Baseball players, practicing before you actually go on an appointment, because a lot of people go on, they get these appointments, and then you don't know how to handle their objections. You don't know what to say when these people start asking you the hard questions. So if you're new, you might want to bring an experienced agent along with you to make sure that you don't get in there, because we work pretty hard to get that appointment. And that's, to me, is like playing minor league baseball and they call you up to major leagues and now you're up there batting against the real pitching up in the big leagues, and that's not the time to say, let me take some batting practice because I got called up today. That's the work that got you there. It's time to execute. It's money time. It's time for you to get the listing, sell the listing, and make some money, which is what we're ultimately here for, to help people. And by helping people, we make money. The basic cost of a stamp. And I want to talk about where I would start today, because I think the best way to really articulate how it's done is what would I do. And if I'm moving to Las Vegas or Miami or Tallahassee or Orlando, nobody knows who I am. What do we have? You know, we've got pre-foreclosures. We've got people that are behind on their property taxes. You've got past clients. If you've been in real estate for a while and you're looking for, this is something for you locally, don't forget your past clients. Your friends and family. I think Lisa was in the office the other day and I told her, make a list of people, like if you were going to get married and you were going to, like, who am I going to invite to my bigger, I'm going to throw the biggest party. Somebody gave you a blank check. Who are you going to invite? That's your first farm list. And you know, that might be 100 people. It might be 200 people. But those people should be your first and foremost. They're fans of yours. They know you. They respect you. They know that you're in real estate. These people are going to refer you business if you ask them for it. If you don't ask people, and this is the biggest problem that you guys have, is that everybody knows you're a realtor, and then you're handing out cards to your friends and to your family and to your business associates and people that you know that your nephew works for this company and they're getting ready to relocate 20 people to Tampa. Hey, you know, referrals are the biggest compliment that you could give me. I make my living off of my friends and family sending me referrals for a job. I promise you, if you send me any of your friends to buy or sell houses, I'm going to make you look good. They're going to thank you. And then don't forget to thank them and make sure that they understand that you appreciate them, because how your family looks at it, how your friends look at it is, wow, Larry just made $60,000 on that referral that I sent. Take them out to Burns, take their whole family out, you know, thank them for the referral. I mean, we can't give them money, but we can certainly show our appreciation when they send referrals, or they're going to be motivated to send you another referral. So I'm going to get into this a little bit deeper, but you know, you can go into the tax rolls that's right in our MLS, and up at the top, we're typically just going right there at the top and clicking to pull the tax roll on the house that we're going to go list, for example, or that we want information on. Maybe that our buyer is going to buy it. But there's a tab up there that says pre-foreclosure. You can put a zip code in there, and it'll tell you every house in there that's in pre-foreclosure. Tax rolls gives us that information. You can also hit who's delinquent on their taxes. You can click a button up there, and there's a drop-down menu that says property taxes, delinquent on property taxes. Yes. Put in the zip code. It pulls up the people, and you can literally make PDF labels, and it prints the labels. It comes in a PDF format. All you have to do is put a sheet in the machine. We have the labels. We have the envelopes over there at the Carrollwood office for the people that are working there. Everything there is free. It's literally the cost of a stamp to contact those people and send them. And then once again, getting back to the earlier slide, you don't do it once. And listen, it's probably another training, but I would never send anybody a letter that says, hey, you're in pre-foreclosure. That would not be my first letter. I'm not saying I wouldn't say that they're in pre-foreclosure, but that's probably something that's an in-person, a knock on the door follow-up with them. But same thing with their delinquent on your taxes. Don't send them a letter and say, hey, Hillsborough County tax records say that you're delinquent on your property taxes. You know, because delinquent is somebody didn't pay them in March, now the county records them as delinquent, and they paid in April, whatever, and they get offended. You started off on the wrong foot. They're telling everybody in the neighborhood that you're a dirtbag and that you're trying to tell them that they don't pay. Sometimes it's inaccurate, and they are paying. Another thing that I like to do that I don't even have in here is I like to drive around these neighborhoods and find the crappiest houses in the neighborhood. And I don't care what neighborhood you go into, you can go into these neighborhoods and you see these beautiful homes. You can go into Avila, you can go into Cheval, I can go to any neighborhood, just randomly driving through Carewood Village. And I can see these houses, they're beautifully maintained, beautifully maintained, beautifully maintained. Dump. You could tell that the house needs a roof. You could tell that the driveway hasn't been pressure cleaned. There's beat up cars in the driveway. They're parked in the yard. It's not edged. You can see that the home is in poor condition. That's a target for me. That's a target for me. And to think more innovatively in the markets that are today, I would hit those people up and I wouldn't say, hey, your house is a dump. But I would say, hey, I recently sold a house in your neighborhood. And we have an influx of buyers because my marketing created more buyers than there were listings. And I'm looking for listings in your neighborhood. And in order for you to get top dollar, I also have a company that will come if your home needs any remodeling or updating. I have somebody that'll come remodel the home, tighten up the house, and your home is shiny as a new diamond, and then you can pay the guy at closing, nothing up front. That's my hook that gets them to call, because what are they? They're probably in a financial pinch. They're mad that they're going to sell their home under market, and now you're walking in and helping them net more money for their property. I know one of Ellie and our proudest moments was a lady in Cheval that her mom had left her a house, and she was literally going to net. She had the house. The realtors were coming saying $500,000 for her. And it had a $100,000 HOA lien and a $150,000 code enforcement lien. And by the time this lady sold the house and paid all her debt on the house, she was going to net less than $200,000 on the house. So our contractor went in there and I talked her into doing this program. And without getting into all the mumbo jumbo that went on for the next 9 months, she cleared $750,000 on that deal. We got the HOA to remove the tax lien. We got the county to reduce it to 30% from that 150. We really worked a system for her where she could profit. That's what our expertise is. That's what we should be doing. If we can't do stuff like that and learn stuff like that, we don't bring anything more to the table than any other real estate agent. So sometimes by coming into the office and you see these deals happening, you're able to copy that and emulate that and find out who these contractors are that will do the work and what are the circumstances that were attached to him being able to do that and what made him want to invest with that seller that he felt comfortable enough putting his own money into the house and willing to wait. That has a lot to do with the confidence in the real estate agent if they have confidence in you. So that's it. And then I always talk about online for the Cloud CMA and Chime. And if you have past customers, they should be in Chime and they should automatically be getting monthly updates on their home value every month. That's another touch. That's a free touch for you guys. So a lot of times you guys sell a house and you never really contact those people again, and they're just down the road motors. One of the things, and I have some up here, is a company that Ellie and I use whenever we sell a home. It's $25, and they contact the people 5 times a year, jumbo postcard for 4 years. And I mean, that pretty much embeds you in their head. You're their realtor, you're in their face for 4 straight years. That should give you a chance to get their email. That should be able to, so if you're emailing them a monthly update on their property value, there's 12 touches a year plus the 4. You could take that little thank you card that's in the listing power pack when the buyer buys the home and write them a little handwritten note and say, hey, can you believe it's been a year since you bought your home? Hope that house is becoming a home for you and your family. And remember, the biggest compliment I could ever get from you is a referral. Now, most real estate agents don't even follow up with their own buyer. So we actually do this on not only our client, but we also do it on the client that bought our house. We just sold one, for example, in Villa Rosa. That property closed. The other agent, I'm sure, just say, okay, off to the races to go work her other leads and to go sell houses or whatever. Well, now I'm just going to wait a couple of days and I'm going to go knock on that door and I'm going to just say, hey, welcome to Villa Rosa. I'm Vince Arcuri. Do you remember me? Yes, no. Well, I was the listing agent when you bought the house. I wanted to bring you this housewarming gift. If anybody went to convention, you see the $25 book that I give them with their closing statement and all my information, all the receipts for the repairs that were done on the house, and all that stuff's in there. I'm making a friend. I try to get their email address so I can put them, because what their agent is not going to do is what most real estate agents do, is not follow up with that client. Now that client can become your client. Ellie, how many of these deals do we get back? And these people, they don't even know their agent. You know what their agent says? They see that LPT sign in the yard and they go, those people suck. I sold them that house 3 years ago. They didn't know who you were. They forgot your name. You're having breakfast, lunch, and dinner with them. You're buying their kids' toys, and you're taking them out and your buddies, and then you sell them the house, and you give them a housewarming basket, and then bam, door shuts like hit and run, gone. Never talk to them again. You're not even talking to the people anymore. They feel like they've lost a friend, and a lot of times they're resentful because we're so close with them while they're in that buying process, and we're so friendly with them, and they think that we're their friend, and sometimes they're relocating here and they don't have anybody else but us. Are you going back to check on them? Are you following up with them? Are you going back even a few weeks later and knocking on the door? How did the move-in go? You know, I don't like bringing the housewarming gifts at the closing, because you can go later and bring it to me. It gives you a chance to sit down with them. The chaos is over. They've moved into the house. Remind them that, hey, you know what, if you need a pediatrician, if you need a dentist, if you need somebody to do your hair, me and Larry don't have that problem, but let them know that you're the go-to person, and you have to stay on them because they are. How many times has that company brought in that one guy and now 5 other people are behind? They're not going to refer you if they feel like you just dropped them after you sold them the house. Cloud CMA. Go ahead.
That book like you were talking about, what was it called again? Like you said it's on Amazon?
It's I just go Home Records Portfolio on Amazon.
Thank you.
It's about $25 for that book. Drop your business card in the front. Put a copy of their closing statement in there. P.S. That's the only reason they would call their ex-real estate agent. The only reason they'd call them is to get a copy of their closing statement. And if you put an extra copy in there, and I tell them, got an extra copy of your closing statement in here because your CPA is going to ask you for that at tax time. Boom. Cloud CMA, Listing Power Tools is free. Remine is free. Letter inventory. Whenever I do these classes, people will come to me after and they start texting me and emailing me after and go, Vince, can I see your letter? Can I see your letters? And my letters aren't going to work for you. You have to create your own letter inventory. You have to say, hey, and I'm going to give an example of somebody that was in the tax, that's behind in their tax. I would say, hey, I would look and see where we've sold a house near that neighborhood, if we have. And if we have, I'd say, hey, we recently sold a house in your neighborhood, and our marketing that we do really brought an influx of buyers, and we have an insatiable list of buyers that want to buy in blank neighborhood. And if you've thought about that, now those people would get, and this is what happens in real estate. You write that letter and you have that list and you write that person a letter, and then they don't respond, and they're not going to respond. Chances are the first time you touch them, they're not going to respond. Then you go on to the next person and you pull a separate somewhere else, and then you follow that person. It's like the expired listings. Agents, the first day, if your listing expired from MLS today, the whole world attacks. That poor seller comes off the market, and 9,000 real estate agents, what are you? They're reading their little scripts, and I go, what do you think? Well, I'm not like those agents. Can you tell me why do you think the home didn't sell? All the same mumbo jumbo. Everybody gives them the same thing. If they're from Keller Williams, they've got the same scripts, and this guy's like a robot. What is this, AI? So the smart thing to do would be you get a smaller group of people, the small group of expireds. Have you watched them? Do you see who's going back on the market, because I guarantee you, if you went into MLS and you pulled expired listings from 6 months ago to a year ago, and you put in a zip code, and 30 or 40 houses are going to come up. And of those 30 or 40 houses, I bet you 10 of them relisted and sold. So that should tell you right there that most of those people that come off the market do, in fact, relist their home with another agent. A lot of times you'll see the price reduction and they've sold. So that tells you that those other X amount of them, if there was 40 of them and 30 of them still haven't relisted, that would be a target for me to hit those 30 people repeatedly. And I don't mean every day, but about every 2 weeks, I would probably hit those people up for, a month or two. And I would knock on their door. And here's the scary part, because everybody's afraid and everybody has that oh shit moment when it's time to knock on a door and you go, oh my God, you actually have to meet somebody. You do have to meet somebody. And then it's like, and I think a lot of it, I think people are intimidated because people are really rude when you surprise them like that. And I think for me, what I've learned is that there's a body language thing, and I'm going to try to articulate it here, so hopefully this comes across okay. I think when I'm knocking on the door, I need a volunteer. Larry, and listen, let's not try to be funny. Let's just, come on. So it looks something like this. If I'm knocking on the door, I could knock on the door and Larry opens the door and I go, hi Larry, I'm Vincent Arcuri with LPT Realty. Now I'm right in Larry's face and Larry has never met me. He's already standoffish, like who is this jerk? Never met him, he's knocking on my door. What I do is I knock on the door and then I take a step back. And now Larry answers the door. And I go, hey, Mr. Manning, I'm Vince Arcuri from LPT Realty. I sent you a couple of letters about the inventory in the neighborhood. I'm actually showing a property down the street, and I was in a hurry, but I was driving by your home. I thought I'd just stop in and just say, are you getting those letters?
I've seen them.
Do you have any? Are you thinking about selling? Or you have any neighbors or anything that are thinking about selling?
A couple down the street.
Okay. Or you could say no. Say no. Don't know anybody. Hey, well, listen. I appreciate you being honest with me about that. If you hear of anybody, can I give you my card? If you hear of anybody, because we really have a lot of buyers wanting to move in the neighborhood. Market's exploding, by the way. Do you get a monthly report by some chance on your property values from the agent you bought the house from? Do you mind if I get your email and I can just I'll send you a monthly report. If you don't like it, you can unsubscribe. Sure. Can I get that real quick for you, real quick? Larry, here's my business card. And hey, I appreciate it was good meeting you. And I'll be in touch. Nice meeting you. Boom. Now I'm back in the office, and I'm putting them on the list to send them up with that. I'm writing them a handwritten thank you note. Larry, it was so good to meet you. Larry gets put in my list just like if he was a past customer of mine. If it went really well, I might even spend $25 on Larry and put him on one of these like if he was a customer, because everybody goes, oh, I'm just going to give this to my past customers. I could do this to anybody. And I could just go, hey, Larry, I'm going to put you on that. Now Larry's getting, if I'm not farming that neighborhood, Larry's still getting 4 touches from me a year, plus the mumbo jumbo that I'm sending him, trying to get. This business is about people and being in front of people and meeting people and touching people and letting them know who you are. So, we went last night, Ellie and Larry and we went to go eat at the Cheval Club for dinner, and it sucked. That was one of the worst experiences we've had. If it was any other restaurant, we wouldn't even go to it. But you know what? All the people in Cheval, they're seeing our pictures, they're seeing our postcards, and we're eating there. And you have to be seen in your neighborhood. I'm living in this side of town over here, and when I go grocery shopping, I go to the Publix outside of Cheval because most of the postcards that we send are Carrollwood and Lutz, so I have to be seen there. So I'm not shopping at the one on West Shore or near Bay Shore. I'm not shopping there. I'm shopping at the one in Lutz because I'm taking all them groceries all the way across the city, because you have to be seen in the areas where you're farming or where you're trying to prospect. So social media. This has to do with prospecting too, and we're doing a class on prospecting for recruits. And what are you putting on Facebook? I just told you earlier when we started, I was showing you the Canva that we put up there and the promotions that we do. And where's Joe? Joe, right, boom. Stand up, Joe. So I'm posting stuff on Facebook about 2 months ago. And how's your neck, by the way?
It's bad. Don't mind me.
So Joe, I posted something about listing power tools, and Mark was in the office with me. And like 5 minutes after I posted it, Joe calls me, and he got my Facebook is on public. And Joe says, "Hey, I saw that thing on listing power tools. I want to talk to you about LPT." All right, when can you meet me? I'm 3 traffic lights down, is what you said. I'll be there in a minute. Right. So in walks Joe. I presented LPT to Joe, and Joe immediately got it. He joined. Was it that day or the next day?
Next morning.
The next morning, he joined LPT. Then he went back to Coldwell Banker and cleaned house and cleaned out that office and brought, 10, 12 people from that office, okay? And without getting into specifics, he knew a broker that is getting ready, I feel like getting close, keeping our fingers crossed, 180 agents getting ready, contact of his. Now, good for Joe. But good for Vince and Ellie. And hey, right here off of Facebook, right off of a post being public. Earlier today, Gina, the girl that I went to high school with that I contacted 1 million times. Now, that particular case, it didn't take 1 million touches. And that's going to happen when you're farming, when you're prospecting. You're going to send out that letter and somebody is going to respond. And you're going to get a Joe Flores that's going to respond to it. But I don't expect that on a repeat. I'm expecting the work, having to put the work in. That's great when something like that happens.
The thing is that the other agents that are other brokerages, everybody's thinking about their next move. So they're studying, they're seeing this LPT thing, and they're searching. I didn't know Vincent before that, you know? So when I Googled it, he was one of the few people that he was hashtagging LPT, so he was popping up or whatever, and he was local to me. I knew people that were in Orlando, but I was like, I'm not gonna, contact somebody in Orlando. I want to be somebody around me, so that's how what led me to pick up the phone to call him was, through that.
And I want to also throw in here that Joe is no slouch. I mean, Joe is a high-producing real estate agent. So you think that people, I'm just going to get these people that aren't selling, high-producing real estate agent, and he's thinking about recruiting as well. But I don't care if it's recruiting, selling real estate, or whatever you're doing. It does have to do with your social media. We do a training almost daily in the office on Canva and how to do it. We had pictures being taken out here. I know Rose was taking some pictures back there based on Canva. And, it's important that you're putting the stuff out there on social media. So you got to mix it up to get different results. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. We try to mix up our marketing a little bit. So our past clients, and I don't, orphan clients, and I'm not trying to be cute here, where it says retired dead agents. We hear these agents that pass away, and they're good, solid agents a lot of times, and the best of them, some of the best real estate agents that I've ever met are dead. It's pretty easy to pull up their number in MLS and see who did they sell to and who their clients were, because that agent's gone. So to maybe, if you're a newer agent and you can say, hey, I'm going to go after these 200 prospects right here that this guy sold or girl sold the house to the last couple of years, because I know that they're still in those houses. They're going to be looking for a realtor. Those are good contacts for you. And I would not show up again. I wouldn't show up at the house and not say, hey, Fred Jones is dead. Did you know? Did you hear that he died? Because I'm here to take your, you don't want to do that. But if you know that those people don't have a realtor, for me, it makes things very interesting for me. I could get a hold of their email. I can find out their phone numbers, and I can generically contact them like I didn't know their real estate agent had passed away. And they probably know that their agent passed away, and they're going to be looking for somebody, and it's a good opportunity because that door is a little bit open for you to be able to go in and step into that door. So I talked about the crappy houses. The orphaned, talk to you about the orphans. Your past clients. Larry, typo. You owe me lunch. You were supposed to proof this last night. And of course, the old and expired, just in the withdrawals that are old. Those are targets. Those are you start looking at the percentages of what's the percentage that these people are going to do business with you. If you're able to contact these people, but of all these prospects here, your past clients and your friends and family, you get this box of listing power tools. If you do nothing with the content of that box, but send it to your past clients and your family and go, hey, just wanted to let you know I just listed this house, or I just sold this house on 1313 Mockingbird Lane. Hey, power to you for catching that. That's the Munsters address, if anybody, so, you know. Thank you. So you sell the house on 1313 Mockingbird Lane. Next month you send one out, and I'm going to say something. Last night, we're having dinner at Cheval, like I mentioned. Did somebody not come up to you, Larry, and say, oh my God, Larry, that house you just sold on Cayman was absolutely beautiful. That Larry went into Canva, took one of our sales, because he's on our team. We're all on the same team here, right? Went into Canva, got that sale, posted it on social media. He's there having dinner, and somebody came up to him and said, oh my God, congratulations on that sale. That is credibility. Larry's floating around the neighborhood, and people are going, oh, Larry's so nice. He's such a nice guy, whatever. But now he's got some credibility. So, I'm just sorry. It's really distracting when y'all are so sorry. So Larry now has some credibility with that person, and they were in Bordeaux, and it's all $1 million and up houses in that section that Larry lives in, and the fact that the people came up and recognized that. So you're thinking that this social media, she didn't comment on it, she didn't like it, she didn't do anything, but she still saw it. So don't think, oh, nobody's looking at it, nobody liked it, I don't have any likes, I don't have any comments. She saw it, she commented it to Larry, so you know that was the talk around the watering hole up there at the club. So even though we got a crappy meal, they didn't bring me my blue cheese. They brought me the wrong meal. They didn't do a big enough pour on your wine. What else was it? I thought Mary Colgan was having dinner with us last night. So many things. The coffee was cold, for crying out loud. So you mix it up with these people, the crappy houses. And I think when you're busy and a lot of people have a tendency to stay home and just go, well, the business is going to come to me. And this is action, that you take action and write these letters, contact these people. If you're uncomfortable knocking on doors, you could get in the office and just team up with somebody and say, hey, let's go knock on this door. I want to knock on this door. Open houses. Who just did an open house in here for Ellie and I? Who did it? Beatrice. You just did didn't you just do an open house for Ellie and I? And what happened?
Well, I met a couple, and they were first-time buyers, and they told me they wanted to work with me, because I did a tour with them, I talked to them, I connected with them, and we are in contract.
They bought the house. Hey. Hello. They bought the house. So you do the open houses, and these open houses are a great opportunity to meet the neighbors and to meet a lot of times it's neighbors that are coming in. And Caroline told us yesterday, so one of the neighbors came up and said, oh my God, came into your house during the open house. You have a beautiful home, one of our clients. And that was an opportunity. I don't know who did that open house for us, but that would have been an opportunity to say, oh, do you have, because that's the best part of doing an open house is meeting the neighbors.
Vince, we did one for you all the way in Plant City at Cypress Reserve.
Right.
And the first guy who walked in, he was real interested in the house when he went to me, he gave him the business card. Then he looked at the listing power stuff that was on the table, and he goes, wait a minute, is this Vince's listing? And I'm like, yes, it is. He says, oh my God, he's always in Cheval. How did he get out here in Plant City? That man's everywhere. And we were all the way in Plant City. And come to find out, he's been a mortgage lender for a really long time. And he's like, man, he does
Right.
So they picked up the thing and saw your picture, and so you're even famous.
The point is when you're at these open house events, you are on and we sit there, and by the way, Larry is like the ultimate, but he's mine. But like you get somebody that it's fun to do open houses with, and it's like the highlight of my week a lot of times, just doing an open house with him. And we're there gathering information. Larry's working with a client right now that this guy walked in to the open house in Villa Rosa and just closed with Bay City's title, by the way. Great job, guys. But the guy walked into the open house, and the guy starts talking to Larry. My son just passed away, and he lives in Villa Rosa. And I just saw this open house, and I followed the signs, and I came here to kind of look at this house. And I don't know what's going to happen, but we've been contacting the guy and following up with this guy trying to get this listing. But if Larry just would have just said, okay, well, here's my card, and that would have been the end of it. But Larry was like, where's the address? Where is it? We're going to go by and look at it after the open house. Looked at it. Oh, I'm having the everything's cleaned up and they're redoing the floors. Oh, we'll be back next week. When is it going to be done? Okay, when is the garage floor going to be done? Okay, we're going to come check that out. And we've met with the guy probably 4 times so far. It is that follow-up that I talked about, that you guys are letting deals fall off the table, or you get right there. Do you ever see the cartoon of the guy that's hitting the axe and they're diamonds, and then he's this close away from the diamonds and he gives up and walks away, and he was that close? That's what real estate is. I mean, you're pounding and you're you're doing these contacts, and you're touching them, and you're writing them letters, and you're stopping by, and you're doing that introduction, and you're dropping emails, and you're getting their email addresses and sending them updates on their house value, and then it starts to click, boom. So it's a lot of people in here starting to work Zillow leads from Robert, and it's in the beta testing. Pretty soon it's going to be available for the whole company. If you don't follow up with these Zillow leads, and most of them suck, most of the leads are not good, and you have to follow up with that person, and sometimes you're going to follow up with that person for years, and that's why Zillow is such a long term. It's like farming. So you build up this database, and if you keep in touch with all of them, and it's easy if you learn how to use Chime and you do the follow-up and you do all that stuff. But you know what? If you don't like doing that, you're not going to do it. You know who isn't working any Zillow leads and who is working no home value leads in this room? Me. Because I don't like following up with people. I don't like doing all the follow-up that I'm telling you to do. I'll do it for listings. I do it for listings. I do it on real estate agents that I'm trying to recruit to LPT. I do it to get listings because that excites me. I like doing that. When I come into the office in the mornings, I come in and I dance into the office. And Mark, we usually have a race on who's going to be there. And the 3 of us are there every morning. So we're opening up that door before 8 o'clock in the morning because I like doing that. I don't like working buyers. So guess what? Find what you like to do. And how do you do it? You do this for a while. You like it. You help a few people. You save somebody from foreclosure. You go, you know what? This feels pretty good. I just made a bunch of money, and I saved this family from a foreclosure, and I made money doing it. Now I want to help a bunch of other families. And you like it, and then all of a sudden you start to do more of that. So you're not going to be a selling agent, a listing agent, expired king, the crappy home king, the tax king guy, the pre-foreclosure guy. You can't be all those things. The farmer. You have to find what you like. Now, I'm a big advocate of farming because if you're farming and you're hitting an area of 1,000 or 2,000 houses, anything that expires or withdraws or tax or a crappy house or anything that's in that neighborhood, you're already an authority because they're getting your postcard in the mail all the time, so you're familiar. And I cannot count the times that I've knocked on a door and somebody goes, "Hi, Vince," because they've gotten my postcard. So that's a good pre-introductory. So that's a fault of ours. Sometimes when I get busy, I don't do as much following up on those people and watching that. So if you're farming, it does make it easier to get into this little bubble, and everything that we just talked about, you keep it in there because you've got a huge advantage over anybody else that's marketing that neighborhood. And that even deals with flipping homes and finding homes to flip. They're in your neighborhood. They're going to call you first. So that's a big, so the personal marketing, I got some of these up here. If anybody wants them and you haven't gotten them, come get one up here. Personal marketing, and Rose, you said it's 4?
It's 4 times a year.
Larry, you owe me another lunch, 2 lunches. The listing power tools. You know, how many of you used every single piece? Like you have the leftover pieces. You should be writing letters to your friends and going, hey, I just sold this house. I'm really proud. This was one of the toughest deals I've ever done. Just remember, I'm just sending you this to remind you that I'm in real estate and that I'm selling real estate. If you have any friends or colleagues at work, you know, they're sending them to me and a couple of business cards in there. So I would use every piece. Birthday, anniversary cards. For those that haven't been to our past before, you can get a file cabinet, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. You sold a house today. We're in April. You take that listing power toolbox out, and there's a thank you card in there. You write, can you believe it's been a year since I sold your home? Hope your new home, if they're wherever they're at, drop it in the April basket. Hey, the buyer of the home. Hey, dot, 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 dot. Maybe even the listing agent or the selling agent that you write, everybody involved in the transaction, 1 year, forever stamp, put it in the April, next April, April 1st, you grab everything in that envelope and you mail it out. And you date it a year from now. So you don't forget to do it. Very simple way to, that's another touch that you would have with these people that you're able to get. And then, once again, when you bring them that housewarming gift, I'm trying to get as much information as I can from them. I try to get their anniversary, their birthdays, whatever I can get from them. I probably should have Bill and Karen start looking at everybody's birthday so I can send them birthday cards, because you get copies of their driver's license at closings. And I should probably get the buyer and sellers of the home's birthday so I can send them a birthday card. I just thought of that. Just thought of that. Look at that. So just, you know, come on. So keep contacting them. You know, the CMA on their home through Chime. Actually pick up the phone and call your people. Call your past customers. There is no easier way to drum up business than to call your past customers and check up on them. Go into MLS and go back. Go in your phone. Dig them up. Put them in a list. Have a list so you can call them. Just thinking about you, I just sold another home in your neighborhood, and I was just driving by your home wondering how everything's going. And a lot of times they go, oh, you know what, I'm getting a divorce. Mary Lou's pregnant. My daughter's pregnant and they need to buy a bigger house. Whatever it is, you might be able to refer the agent in Boise, Idaho and get a referral fee. You're not communicating. People are buying and selling real estate all the time. So it's being on top of your game. And I just don't believe not taking action and not going in and doing something. If just doing nothing is just absolutely going to be a failure when it comes time to finding new business. Bame.
I just want to share a quick story.
Go ahead.
This is a recent thing, right? I had a buyer that I helped. They're the whole first-time home buyer 3 years ago. I helped them to buy their home. The lead actually came from a program, so I don't even know them personally. Anyways, they bought the home. I'm not the best at following up, and I'm going to try to be better. However, about a month ago, I saw a picture of her posting about the baby, that she just had a baby. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that. I just sent a text. Okay, so in 3 years, I probably in touch with her 3 times. That was the first month after they bought the house, and I kind of just forgot about it, right? So when I saw the picture of the baby, I still have their number. I sent a text and it says, congratulations, this is so awesome. I hope you guys are still enjoying your home. She texts me back and says, guess what? My husband just got the promotion. We're moving to Port Charlotte, which Ellie recommended me, the team down there.
Wayne?
For the referral. And they said, we're going to have to sell the home. Would you sell our home for us? But I really think that if I hadn't sent that text, it's a 50-50.
Right.
They might remember me, they might not.
Right.
You know, so
Yes.
They remembered me, they had a personal connection with me already, so they asked the question. The house is going to be on MLS next week.
Right. And the nice is that a lot of y'all, that Hit 'em Up app that I use, that you can put your past customers and personalize. I send a lot of times I'm reminders and announcements about trainings. I'm using that Hit 'em Up app to contact a lot of people in this room. And then everybody goes, yeah, you just told me this yesterday. It was like, I text y'all, Hit 'em Up. I use that app. I sent out to everybody in the downline about a training. But while you're speaking, if some of you might have heard this story already, but some of you might not have. But a couple months ago, Ellie and I sold a house in Cheval on Avenue Avignon, which is about $1 million home. And this lady that was the buyer of the home, we were the listing agent, and I could tell that this big mega team was the other agent. I don't want to say their name. They're with Keller Williams. And this big mega agent was their realtor. But I noticed that when she showed the house, saw it once, was with an agent. She looked at it again. I was there again. Fortunately, there was a different agent. She wrote up the offer, and they did the home inspection, and I was at the home inspection, and she was with another agent. And I noticed the agent wasn't paying any attention to her, and she was from China, and she didn't speak as good of English as you do, so she was a little bit harder to understand. And I could tell the girl was uncomfortable, so she goes, "You have the Wi-Fi password?" "Yep." Boom, she's on. There she is. Tick, tick, tick. Well, the home inspection. So I'm like, "Hannah, you should buy this golf cart." "Golf cart?" "No, I don't want to buy the golf." "Hannah, get in. Hey, do you mind if I take Hannah on a ride through the neighborhood?" She was relieved. "Yes, take my buyer on the ride around that I get with Hannah." We're driving around. I took her up to the club, took her to the tennis. She's a golfer. She's an athlete. She's everything. And she loved it. She joined the club. She was like, I introduced her to everybody at the club. She bought the golf cart. She bought the house, all the furniture. She bought all the furniture in the house. I bonded with her. And there was a language barrier, but when I see people with a language, I really try to tune in and listen so that I could be a good communicator with them. Fast forward a few weeks after closing, she had 1 million questions about the house. And what did the mega agent do? The mega agent said, "Hey, do you mind communicating with her direct?" And just because, sends me her phone number. And then what do? I call her up, and I called Bay May up. This is going somewhere. So I called Bay May up. I said, "Bay May, can you have lunch with me tomorrow?" "Yes." Boom. I call Hannah. "Hannah, can you have lunch with me tomorrow? I don't have a car. I'm picking you up. I want to introduce you to somebody. We're going to go to the club at Cheval." "Oh my God, just joined the club." Boom. We go. Boom. Have lunch. Hannah's from Beijing.
Yeah.
Bay May's from Beijing. Bay May starts.
Shanghai, but still.
Yeah, Bay May starts. Hey, Bay May starts talking. They start talking in Chinese. I'm like, yes, yes. Well, Bay May's working 3 buyers right now, and the lowest price point is $2 million from this lady.
So I'm going to take over just a
Go, fire, go!
Vince, you don't even know the story after that. So anyways, I connected with Hannah, not only that we all...
Stand up and talk loud, Bay May.
What is that?
Stand up and talk loud.
I'm gonna go
Come on.
So you're going to love this.
Go, yes.
So anyways...
I feel my wallet getting warmer right now.
So not only we connected because we're from China, we speak Chinese, but our personality also jive, right? She's new here. She just picked up golf as a new sport. She just retired. Turns out when I Googled her, she's quite well known in China. She was like a huge CEO of a big company. Anyways, so she retired at that age. She's pretty young.
Yeah, she's young.
Yeah, she's like 50 years old.
Yeah.
Retired.
Thank
and
you
she
for
doesn't
saying
wanna-
that's young. Go ahead.
It's young. I'm 51. I'm going to be. But anyways, so she's picking up golf. She just want to enjoy life. So I'm like, great. I said, let me introduce to another friend of mine who's a big golfer, also Chinese, also moved here like a year ago, new, and I bought the house for that lady. So they connected. They're going out playing golf 5 days a week. Okay, and whenever I can join, I join them because we become personal friends now. So from her, I'm working. Hopefully we're gonna see something to the end, right? But I'm working with 4 different group of buyers, and that's just the beginning. Because his idea is he wants to. Chinese words is huyu, but it means that she wants to make all of her connecting like people and friends to all move to Florida. They are all retiring. They all have mega money, okay? So, and I'm her people now. So,
Hey, I want to say if anybody...
I'm gonna come to him first, yes.
If anybody says anything bad about Chinese people buying real estate in America, I'll punch you in the mouth.
Oh, listen, it's cash and sight unseen a lot of times. So it's a mix
work with the right group of people, right?
We're
But
selling Rosetta stuff back here.
Yeah.
I know, right? But here's another side story that you didn't know. So when I was working with one of the buyers through Hannah, right? So I keep seeing this one house that I loved in Cheval.
Yes.
But when I looked for the house, it was off the market already. So I did my research, my detective work. I found the seller's direct phone number. So I called him. I said, hey, are you still interested in selling? He's like, not really. I don't want to put it on the market. But if you have a buyer, you can show. I said, great. So I brought the buyer over. 3 sets of different buyers I brought over. None of them bought, which is okay. The thing is, the last time when I showed that house, he told me, he said, you're the hardest working agent. So I said, well, remember my name and number, because I already give it to him. I said, if you ever decide to sell again, please give me an opportunity. I know that he was just contemplating, right? So a month ago, this Cheval home that I'm selling,
Yes.
that's the seller. He called me up. He said, listen, he said, I have decided I want to put the house back on the market. I had an agent I used before, but clearly didn't work out because the house didn't sell, right? Didn't sell. He said, just come in and give me your, presentation. I want to hear what you have to say. So I did everything that Vince told me with all the listing power tool and this and that. So he signed that day with me. We just went under contract today. Oh, that's thank you. And thank you. Yes. I know, amazing.
It's like one of your children, like is like. And I just have to. I'm so proud of that moment because that is like that. Think about that. That wasn't even. Fruit came from Hannah, who I referred to her, and then she went out on another branch on her own and got a listing on her own as a result of that connection of paying attention and following up with people. So it's amazing. This business is all about the follow-up. And even myself, I look back at the course of the year and I go, oh gosh, I should have followed up with that guy. He listed. Should have followed up with those people. They listed. So it's the same thing. So thank you for that, Damien. That was a great story. So the point is, what steps are you taking to become relevant in your circle? So if you are continually marketing to your circle, to the people closest to you, that's the most important group to become famous in is your friends and family. Make sure that they're getting direct mail from you. Make sure that they know that you're caring enough and you value them enough that you want to get referrals from them. So, I always say, that's my favorite line, nobody sells bedrock like Fred Flintstone. But when I'm on a listing presentation, I don't care where I'm at. I'll say, I would be in Apollo Beach in Mary's neighborhood, and I'd say, nobody. My thing is at the end, I'm going to say, this is my catchphrase. Nobody markets Apollo Beach like I do. And that's what I tell them. Nobody markets Lutz like I do. Wherever they're at, nobody markets Planet Mars like I do. Wherever it is, that's the confidence that you give people comes across. And the more knowledge you have and the more education you have, the more seminars you go to, the more books you read, the more savvy and educated you become. And people ask you questions about, hey, I just sold my house and it's I bought it for $250, I sold it for $500. I'm buying a $750,000 house. How does that portability work with my property taxes? That's our job to know that. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know how the portability works, moving up and down. That's our job. First thing you need to do when you leave here is go on to YouTube and find videos and watch it and learn it and understand it because that's our job. And the more knowledgeable we are, the sharper we get. And I just think of people like off the top of my head, like I think of Renee. Like, you go into Odessa and you start talking about property elevations and lake depths and quality of water. She is an encyclopedia, a Google of everything out there. And when people start talking to her, other agents are calling her, asking her about that. And you wonder, why did your client list with you when Renee's the one that, be the Renee. Be the Renee that knows, that educates yourself and takes the time to learn this stuff so you can become a better agent. Now, I purposely haven't given anybody any of my marketing materials because I'm going to see who's going to come in and ask for it. All I got to do is hit a button and print it. but you got to take action. I can only, you can knock on doors. We went over who to talk to, strangers, how to touch them, how to knock on their door. We've went through all this stuff. We've got the listing power tool box that we get from Robert. It's got all the marketing in it for FREE. If you are on a team, you can get the team just sold box. If you're on a team, because Larry just sent out a big just sold thing on that listing that we just talked about, and he's on our team, so it comes with his picture on it. He gets the power box with his picture. He can send out his just sold to his sphere of influence. So, you can pull the labels from the MLS. I'm just going back to one of the easiest things to do is you can pull those labels from MLS. You click a button, it prints the labels for you. You can handwrite them. You can do whatever you want to do with those, but it's easy to get the information. How can you help people? If they're behind in their taxes, they're going to lose their home. Are you going to help them and make money? And that's the main thing, is start thinking about how you can help these people because they're in a jam. I don't say go after these pre-foreclosure people because they're going to lose their house. Help them. Because the sooner you get there, the more equity they're going to be able to pull out of that house. That's going to help them transition, help them with their credit, tell them what they need to do next. If they're in a short sale situation, the Barnabas know how to handle that on a short sale situation. We know how to help these people. We just got to be in a position to let them know that they trust us and that we're knowledgeable enough to help them. So, again, Larry, that's three lunches that you owe me. The ways to touch them, to call them, follow up on the social media, post on your social media. Don't ram it down their throat, but try to post stuff every couple of days about social media. I know I'm guilty of overkill sometimes because, I'm in LPT mode trying to recruit people. So this is one of the ones, and when we go in and if you only sent listing power tools to friends like we talked about and posted stuff like this. This is one that Larry just did. It's a just sold. It's in Canva. Anybody that goes into my Canva, which I offer to anybody, it's a paid version of Canva, you can go in and you can drop your picture. There it is. You drop your picture in there, put your phone number on here, drop your picture, and then download that, and then put it in your social media. You can copy and paste it right from MLS, but I actually did this for Larry because that's why it says hi, folks, because that's how he talks. So I said, hey, folks. I'm not just a North Tampa guy. I sold this one in Pasco Trails, and I told the little story. People like stories, This one appraised at $840 and was still able to get the seller $150,000 over. Here's where it comes in to know your craft. We went on that appointment, and I know we had Larry it was in Pasco Trails, which we're both pretty familiar with Pasco Trails, and the seller wanted to list that house at $1 million. And we wanted to list it at $950. So we knew an appraiser. Larry was trying to get this guy to come to LPT, and he was a realtor and an appraiser, and he has a side business where he'll do an appraisal to help you for situations like we were in. So we called the guy, and the guy said, and it wasn't $840, it was $640. So he comes and does this. He's doing the appraisal, and he goes, I said, listen, seller wants $1 million. I want to list it at $950. We're splitting the cost of this appraisal. He tells me it's $640. And I said, no, it's not $640. And he goes, listen, Vince, I deal off of facts. And I'm pulling the facts. And these are the comps that I pulled off the property and everything else. And he's going to town. Was he going to town on us? And I said, let me tell you something. I'm not asking you if that's correct or not. That is so far off. It's preposterous. We get into this big argument, and I'm telling them why these are the comps that I use. These are the comps that you use. He used a comp with a sinkhole. I mean, we just went at it. So I said, look, well, how much do I owe you? Don't do the appraisal. I don't want it. What do I owe you for your work? Like $300. We Venmo'd him the $300. I listed the house for $950, sold for $950 the next day, appraised at $950. The lady did financing on a conventional financing. So if I would have been a weaker agent and I wasn't confident and did my numbers and did my research, and I don't think I freaking know what these houses are worth. That's our job. So when these appraisers come in, kicking their mumbo jumbo, trying to double talk you, we did the research. It doesn't help that Larry's been doing real estate, was in the banking industry, and so people wonder why I keep Larry in my back pocket. But Larry had researched that thing out 10 ways to Sunday, and when he presented it to me, I knew that number was correct. I knew he's got 40 years behind him, and I knew it was dead on. So knowing your stuff and that confidence, and that seller could have easily lost confidence in us and said, look at these knuckleheads over here trying to list my house at $300,000 over, and it sold. Did I call the appraiser and say, did I call the appraiser and go, na boo-boo, we sold it? I didn't even bother. It's like that's what we do. That's what, just do your job. Learn how to do. If you're not sure on a price, you can come to the office. How do you do? Somebody in here was saying that they want me to show them yesterday, show them how I do my CMAs. And it's 10 different ways that you do it, but all 10 different ways should come up about in the same ballpark, and then it's just a matter of gut. So I can only lead you to the water. So we do these classes and we do these things. If you don't come in and you don't learn what to do, you don't learn what to say, if you don't drink the water and start doing this stuff, you're going to find yourself next year. Because listen, right now the market is soft. Anybody that was at Motivational Monday, it is soft. If you can start to do this stuff right now and make a good living in this market, when we come out of this and the dominoes start falling, your income's going to go up 4 or 5 times what you're doing right now. So that's to me the biggest thing. So thanks for attending. Now go forth and multiply and go get more agents and bring them into LPT. So.